They laugh when she speaks. Page 47, line 12, she says. Please don't sign yet. Maya Lin stands at the wall with a notepad. 26 people ignore her. A pen hovers over a billion-dollar signature page. The clock on the wall blinks 10:59 a.m. At 11 sharp, the wire releases. If it releases, everything changes. This is an M&Nth, a signing room dressed as a victory lap. Bottled water lined like trophies. Documents in leather folders. 2 flags on the credenza for optics. Everyone here outranks her. The lead banker smirks like he owns the air. His name is Leonard Voss. He is tall, polished, and allergic to interruptions. Note-taker speaks, he says, not hiding the sneer. Should we move catering too? A few laughs ripple. Maya keeps her eyes on the binder. Helena Cruz, general counsel, sits near the head. She watches everything and reveals nothing. Her fingers rest on a red pen. The acquisition target's CEO drums the table softly. Their CFO whispers about closing windows. The banker's deal team stacks closing agendas like bricks. Ms. Lin, Leonard says, tasting the syllables. Unless your notes became securities law, please stand down. Maya breathes in, steady and small. She is 27 and calm by necessity. Her badge says Operations Associate. Nobody reads the fine print on people either. The target is Ferrovia Logistics Asia. They move parts the world forgets to count. Our company needs their lanes before Q4. If we miss Q4, we miss survival. Our cash cushion fails in 8 weeks. Vendors already ask for shorter terms. Maya sees numbers like rooms with doors. She remembers which ones lock behind you. She grew up balancing invoices at her mother's stall. She learned shipping before she learned algebra. Today, she is the quietest person here. Also the only one who studied the annexes twice. Say it, Helena finally murmurs, eyes on the pen. Maya steps 1 pace forward. Her voice is careful, not soft. The shipments in Annex B use DDP Shenzhen. Risk transfers a delivery, not shipment. Taxes, export licenses, and local penalties sit on the buyer. The room shifts by a half-inch. Leonard chuckles without humor. We have advisors, Ms. Lin. Incoterms don't bite if you don't pet them. His team laughs again. Maya doesn't. She flips her notepad to a hand-drawn grid. Annex B cross-references clause 47, she says. Line 12 binds us to the seller's broker. Change of control triggers a 30-day asset sweep. Inventory moves title before quality inspection. Customs delays become our cost and fault. A junior associate coughs into a sleeve. Someone at the far end stops typing. Helena tilts the red pen once. The acquisition CEO leans forward, board turning curious. This again, he says to Leonard. We scrubbed logistics last week. Leonard spreads his hands like a preacher. We scrubbed everything, he says. My people live for this. He winks toward the buyer's side. The only clause that matters is the signature. Laughter tries to return and doesn't. Maya's phone vibrates in her pocket. Her mother texts a noodle emoji. It is Friday and the stall opens early. Rent clears today if payroll clears today. Payroll clears if this deal closes clean. Clean is the word that matters. She looks down the table toward Helena. 30 days after closing, Maya says. We owe final mile liabilities we didn't price. A single port strike flips penalties onto us. Product holds can freeze revenue for a quarter. Insurance carve-outs in Annex D don't apply to DDP. Leonard smiles with showtime patience. Cute, he says, still charming the room. Next you'll quote maritime poetry. He taps the signature page like a metronome. Let's land the plane. Then we can debate shipping acronyms. A senior partner from outside counsel clears his throat. He likes good wine and short meetings. Incoterms are commercial, not legal, he says. Business judgment covers that. He reaches for his glass. Helena doesn't move the pen. Maya remembers last night's reread. The annex smelled like toner and coffee. She traced footnotes with a pink highlighter. Someone had tucked a dangerous sentence into quiet. She hears her mother's voice from the stall. Count twice. Pay once. Speak when it costs. Line 12, Maya says softly. It binds our freight forwarder to theirs. On dispute, their broker's records control. No reciprocal audit right appears anywhere. Turn to page 209, she adds. Bottom margin. Tiny font. Leonard laughs again, lighter now. We're not reading footers at closing. We are doing a deal. He looks to the room for applause. He gets silence with carpet. It scratches even his shoes. The target CFO finally breaks. We use DDP to reassure customers, he says. Seamless delivery. One invoice. One throat to choke. He smiles like that makes it safe. Maya nods once, respectfully. Whose throat? She asks. Helena's eyebrow lifts a fraction. A director from Treasury scribbles a circle. The banker team shifts their binders defensively. A junior analyst scrolls Annex B on a tablet. She stops scrolling. Her finger trembles on the glass. The head of procurement whispers, "What's the number?" Maya answers because nobody else will. Worst case, she says, 87 million. Best case, 15. Average, 42. None of those fit our cash forecast. Leonard spreads his arms even wider. Everything has downside, he says grandly. Deals reward the bold. He smiles toward the chairman's portrait. Let's be bold. He taps the page again. The chairman glances at Helena. Helena doesn't blink. Her red pen still waits. Ms. Lin, she says, voice level. Do you have a clean reference? Something everyone here can verify in 30 seconds? Maya nods once. The seller's own SP, she says. Warehouse Release Protocol 3. Paragraph for mentions buyer-funded penalties. It's in the data room. Folder 5, document 9. Timestamped 2 weeks ago. A heartbeat passes. The acquisition's CEO exhales with annoyance. We are not pausing because operations got nervous, he says. People have flights. Shareholders expect a press release at noon. Make this quick. Maya swallows and keeps going. 3 more lines, she says. 47 ties to escrow leakage caps. The cap excludes logistics penalties by definition. Those penalties are unlimited. Her last 2 words land like metal. Leonard fires back instantly. Unlimited is theatrical, he says. This is fear-mongering from a junior seat. He smiles, artfully wounded. Helena, we cannot run a nursery here. We close, then we tune. Maya doesn't look at him now. She looks at Helena and holds the gaze. Read that line out loud, she says. Her voice is quiet, certain. Clause 47, line 12. Then read the escrow definition. Helena finally lifts the red pen. She turns the page with a single motion. The room falls very still. Somebody's chair squeaks and goes silent. Maya hears her own pulse like rain. Helena reads without moving her lips. Leonard fills the hush with confidence. We are minutes from an industry headline, he says. Don't let a footnote derail a vision. He gestures toward the bankers. Trust the people who do this daily. He does not look at Helena. Maya does not smile or shrink. She waits in the space she made. She sees the whole map in her head. A port, a warehouse, a line of trucks, each one waiting for a signature, each one waiting for blame. The clock hits 11. The wire team glances at the controller. Helena sets down the red pen. She hasn't spoken yet. Her finger rests on line 12. She looks up at the table. I heard her, Helena says. Her voice carries without effort. We're not signing this page yet. Not until I verify the cross-reference. Leonard's smile flickers, then hardens. Maya exhales once, very slowly. The acquisition CEO leans back, frowning. How long does verification take? His words land like lead. Helena doesn't answer him. She looks at Maya instead. Bring me the seller's SP link, she says. Maya nods and steps forward. Her hands do not shake. Leonard mutters something about theatrics. A few people reach for their phones. The deal breathes through a narrow tube. Every breath counts now. You want to know if Maya is right. You want to see the line. You will. In 30 seconds, a folder opens. In 3 minutes, someone else will read aloud. And a number will change color. But first, we find the link. Helena wants the link. Maya moves toward the screen at the end of the table. The banker team watches like a jury. Leonard speaks first. Before we indulge this detour, we should confirm roles. He taps the agenda with a silver pen. Who is Ms. Lin again? Her title is Associate. His smile invites the room to dismiss her. Beat 1 begins with credentials. The outside counsel nods along. It helps to know the speaker's expertise, he says. Incoterms are tricky. He lets the words soften into patronizing music. The acquisition CEO folds his arms. Maya answers because silence would agree. Operations, Asia lanes, she says. For years with this company. 3 before that in freight consolidation. 2 languages for customs. Enough for the 3rd in Vietnam. Her voice stays clear. Leonard waves it away. Valuable, I am sure, he says. But we retain top counsel for this reason. He gestures down the table. 2 Chambers-ranked partners. A logistics boutique. Please let the adults drive. Laughter returns, louder now. A director mutters something about interns. Maya keeps her eyes on the screen. She plugs in a cable. She opens the data room portal. A login prompt stares back. Leonard's smile widens. Time is money, he says. Can our note-taker open a link? The room chuckles again. Maya types her credentials. The portal refuses with a red banner. Access denied. The words look loud. She tries the backup guest account. Denied again. The junior analyst across the table frowns at her tablet. She cannot find the document either. Leonard claps once, delighted. Enough, he says. We are not letting amateur hour derail 9 months of work. He turns to Helena. Shall we proceed with signature? Council has blessed every risk. Helena does not move. What blocked you? She asks Maya. Folder 5, document 9, Maya says. Permission changed. Timestamp unknown. Her cheeks feel warm, but her voice holds steady. Someone toggled access. The seller's CFO raises both hands. Our portal has been rock solid, he says. We did not touch permissions. His tone pretends to help while accusing. He looks at Maya like she tripped the wire. The acquisition CEO nods, irritated. B2 starts with blame. A VP whispers, this is theater. The banker's associate slides a printed closing checklist over. Stick to the script, he says softly to Helena. Leonard leans in, hungry for momentum. We are getting bullied by a password. Maya opens her notebook. Inside are flagged pages and scribbles. She has handwritten the citations. Clause 47, line 12, she says again. Annex B, Annex D. I can cite the sentences now. Leonard's eyebrows rise, amused. From your diary? He asks. We are not closing on pencil notes. His team enjoys the line like a dessert. Next she will bring crayons. They laugh as if ordered. The outside counsel joins softly. Respectfully, we should avoid off-record sources, he says. Regulators do not love improvisation. His smile is neat and kind. It still cuts. Helena watches without blinking. The acquisition CEO checks his watch. We lose the wire window at 11:15, he says. Press teams wait. Sellers wait. Our stock moves at noon. He turns to Helena. Please keep us on track. Maya breathes and keeps moving. She lays the notebook open near Helena. She points to a sketched grid. Columns labeled risk, trigger, cost. Numbers written with careful edges. The table means nothing to the room yet. Leonard sees leverage and squeezes. Look, everyone, he says. We appreciate diligence. But there is a chain of command. He glances toward HR. Someone should remind staff about decorum. The HR head shifts in her chair. She dislikes public warnings, but speaks anyway. Let's keep roles clear, she says. We can debrief after closing. Her eyes flick to Maya, firm but not cruel. It lands like a tap on the wrist. Beat 3 arrives with a whisper. A banker leans toward the acquisition CEO. Rumor is she applied for a rotation and got declined, he says. She might be grandstanding. The CEO listens without looking. A shadow crosses his face. Maya hears none of it, yet feels all of it. She stands inside a storm of polite words. On the far end, the junior analyst finally speaks. I think the file moved, she says. Same name, new folder. Seller's team archived last week's SP. The seller's CFO smiles like that fixes everything. Normal housekeeping, he says. No conspiracy. No trap. He turns to Maya with a soft scold. Trust the process next time. The room breathes easier. Leonard swivels the victory toward Helena. See, he says. Noise, not signal. We can close now. He taps the signature line again. Let's be disciplined. Helena opens the printed index. She runs a finger down a list of annexes. Her silence wakes the room more than speeches. Show me the new folder, she tells the analyst. The analyst scrolls, finding a near-duplicate file. Different timestamp. Same title. Maya leans forward without touching the tablet. Check the footer, she says. Last revision date. The analyst zooms in. Her lips part. The date is 2 weeks after diligence ended. Leonard tries to keep control. Late uploads happen, he says. We have the right to rely on representations. He says the last word slowly, like a shield. He looks at outside counsel for backup. Counsel nods, but not fully. Helena finally speaks again. I want the old SP and the new SP side by side, she says. No summaries. No slides. Words only. She looks at Maya, not Leonard. Keep talking, Ms. Lin. Maya nods once. Her humiliation has done its job. It has stripped her of decoration. Only clarity remains. Find paragraph 4, she says. Warehouse Release Protocol 3. The analyst scrolls with careful fingers. The seller's CFO watches, suddenly less relaxed. Leonard adjusts his cufflink. The acquisition CEO's jaw sets. Helena's red pen waits like a metronome without sound. The clock says 11:12. Everything narrows to a paragraph nobody wanted to read. 3 words inside it will tilt the deal. Maya stands ready to name them. The room, at last, is ready to hear them. Next comes the first proof. It will be specific enough to change bases. 2 documents open side by side. Old SP on the left. New SP on the right. Same title. Different footer. Rev 6.9 Diligence Freeze. Rev 7.3 Post Freeze Update. Maya points to Warehouse Release Protocol 3. Paragraph 4. Bullet C. The old version reads seller-funded penalties for customs delays under DDP lanes. The new version reads buyer-funded penalties for customs delays under DDP lanes. 3 words change the charge. Buyer-funded penalties. The junior analyst whispers the words. Everyone hears them anyway. Helena leans closer to the right page. There is a gray annotation bubble. Updated to reflect revised broker agreement, it says. Timestamp, 18 days ago. Diligence ended 19 days ago. Maya continues without drama. Scroll to Table 3, she says. The table shows penalty rates. Line 2, customs hold fee 22,500 Chinese yuan per container per day. Line 3, broker intervention fee 4,000 Chinese yuan per incident. Line 4, after-hours release surcharge 1,200 Chinese yuan per lift. She lifts her notebook. Average monthly volume is 1,300 containers, she says. 1 week hold equals 9.1 million yuan in base penalties. Add intervention and surcharges, and it passes 10 million. At current rates, that is about 1.4 million US dollars per week. For one port, Leonard tries to smile it away. Rates are illustrative, he says. They never bill like that. Maya nods once. She does not argue the adverb. She shows the cross-reference instead. Clause 47, line 12, she says. She reads it from the binder. Buyer accepts seller SP as controlling for risk allocation on DDP lanes. She taps the next sentence. In disputes, seller's broker records prevail. Buyer waives reciprocal audit rights. The outside counsel frowns now. That language is not standard, he says. It is unusually seller-leaning. He turns to Helena. I would not accept broker control records without audit symmetry, especially with DDP. The seller's CFO tries a softer push. Look at warranties, he says. Compliance remains ours. It balances out. Maya is ready for that lane. She flips to Annex D. Insurance carve-outs exclude penalties and fines, she says. They cover loss and damage, not administrative cost. Paragraph 2 removes coverage when buyer assumes DDP. She reads the final line. Buyer to fund all holds, re-inspections, and post-release assessments. A director from Treasury breathes in sharply. Those are not insurable events, she says. They hit cash, not coverage. Her pencil underlines the words twice. The banker team stops moving. The table feels smaller. Maya lifts one more proof. 30-second A-B demo, she says. She circles the same sentence in both SPs. Old, seller funds penalties. New, buyer funds penalties. Right margin note, reflects new control post-close. Helena speaks at last. Validation, she says. She turns to outside counsel. Is the cross-reference live? Does clause 47 pull in this post-freeze SP? Or only the diligence version? Outside counsel answers carefully. The clause says seller SP, not SP as of the date. It imports the current SAP by reference, unless limited elsewhere. He scans the escrow section. No limiter appears. Helena nods once. Then risk transfers as written, she says. Buyer-funded penalties. Broker-controlled records. No audit right. Insurance excludes the category. She lifts the red pen. This is not noise. Leonard looks for another angle. Materiality threshold, he says quickly. Escrow caps catch leakage. Helena does not blink. Escrow caps exclude logistics penalties by definition, she says. Paragraph 4, cap exclusions. She has the page already open. The acquisition CEO finally speaks. Net exposure, he asks. Maya gives him a number. Average 42 million over 12 months, she says. Concentration risk at Yantian and Ningbo. One strike or regulatory sweep doubles it. Helena closes the binder. Proof 1 is established, she says. 3 words flip the cost center. Buyer-funded penalties. She turns to the banker. We are not signing this page. Faces change. Not all at once, but in a visible order. The director from Treasury sits straighter. The junior analyst meets Maya's eyes. Even outside counsel looks relieved to stop pretending. Helena draws a single line through the signature tab. Prepare a writer, she says. Or prepare to walk. Leonard does not smile now. The room understands what it just heard. This is the first proof. Proof 2 begins with title transfer. Maya opens Annex E, Asset Sweep Schedule, she says. Change of control. 30 days. She traces a line with her finger. Title passes at gate scan, not after quality inspection. She flips to QC summaries. Monthly quality report, March to May. Defect rate averages 3.4% after release. Returns carry scrap and rework fees. She anchors the numbers. Batch 77120, motor housings, she says. For 100 units shipped DDP. Gate scan shows delivery completed. Post-scan QC flagged 42 defects. Scrap fee 580 per unit. Restocking charge 180 per unit. Total 42 times 760. $31,920. One batch. 1 week. Scale to average weekly volume, and the cost crosses $2 million per month. The seller's CFO tries to soften it. Returns are routine, he says. Warranty offset supply. Maya is already on the warranty page. Offsets require seller custody at failure, she says. Here, title passed at the gate. Failures occurred after transfer. Offsets do not apply. Validation lands from procurement. The head of procurement checks the QC report. 3.4% matches our sampling, she says. Gates can transfer as written here. Warranty offsets do not trigger when title moves early. She looks at Helena. These costs would hit our P and AMP, L immediately. Outside counsel adds a legal line. Gates can transfer with DDP is commercially unusual, he says. It breaks the normal sequence. Inspection should precede transfer. He taps clause 47 in his copy. The cross-reference makes it binding unless amended. Helena nods once. Proof 2 stands, she says. Title before QC. Defects become buyer's cost. No warranty relief. Exposure is recurring, not one time. Proof 3 turns to data control. Maya opens the broker agreement. Broker Services Agreement version 4.1, she says. Clause 9.2. Line 8. She reads it clean. Broker may correct timestamp discrepancies within 96 hours without third-party certification. Edit rights belong to seller admin. Buyer role is view only. She shows the log language. Appendix B, audit log fields, she says. Status change fields can be overwritten by admin correction. Dispute resolution clause imports broker records as controlling. She quotes the dispute clause. In disputes, broker records prevail. Leonard tries to pivot again. Corrections are housekeeping, he says. Everyone fixes clocks. Maya keeps going. She puts two entries side by side. Container HX 44521, she says. Initial scan shows hold documentation review at 1407. Admin correction replaces it with clear released at 1358. Same day, within the 96-hour window. Correction reason field is blank. Blank is allowed under line 10. She ties it to cash. When records prevail, penalties vanish on paper, she says. Our audit right is waived. Our insurer excludes this category. Net effect, we pay real holds while the record says released. Dispute options narrow to zero. Validation arrives from tech and law together. Helena calls on trade compliance. The director has lived inside these portals for years. He scans the clause and the log fields. Admin correction does exactly this, he says. 96 hours is a large window. Blank reasons are permitted by configuration. Buyer cannot export immutable originals. It is seller admin all the way down. Outside counsel closes the loop. Broker-controlled records plus audit waiver is indefensible, he says. In arbitration, the controlling record will win. Without symmetry, we cannot reconstruct truth. He looks at Helena. I advise a hard stop unless the clause is reversed. Helena speaks for the table. Proof 3 stands, she says. Record control is asymmetric. Corrections are unbounded for 96 hours. Disputes would be unwinnable. She turns to Leonard. These are not footnotes. They are structural risks. Leonard's confidence thins. He reaches for materiality again. Escrow can cover, he says. Helena is ready. Escrow excludes penalties, she says. Expenses from Proof 2 and Proof 3 are outside the cap. Cash burn is direct. The acquisition CEO looks at the signature line. What now? He asks. Helena answers without hesitation. Writer language, she says. Replace DDP with FCA or FB for Asia lanes. Restore audit symmetry. Freeze SP at diligence version. Reseed title after inspection. Or we walk. Two proofs now sit on the table like weights. Faces have stopped performing. Numbers have stopped wiggling. The deal does not die. It waits for someone to fix it. Helena caps the red pen. She turns to the seller's CFO. Here are conditions, she says. Replace DDP with FCA or FOB. Freeze SP at diligence version. Restore audit symmetry. Title transfers after inspection. Confirm in writing. Silence blooms. Leonard shifts in his chair. He wants the momentum back. He addresses the acquisition CEO. We can sign and amend later, he says. It is smart deal hygiene. His tone reaches for certainty. Maya answers him, not the room. Our lender covenants require clean close, she says. Unmodeled penalties trigger a leverage breach. Cash falls below threshold. Share buyback freezes automatically. Board discretion disappears. The director from Treasury nods. Her numbers align, she says. We cross the covenant line on day 31. No wiggle room there. The seller's CFO adjusts his tie. He reaches for reason. Your fears are hypothetical, he says. Our execution has been strong. Our customers love seamless delivery. Keep DDP and retain value. Helena does not smile. She addresses outside counsel. Draft the writer language now, she says. Send to their counsel for signature. Timestamp the change list. Attach both SP versions for reference. Leonard tries a final sweep. Deals demand trust, he says. They also demand nerve. Too many edits and bite collapse. He gestures toward the agenda. Remember why we are here. Maya's voice is even. We are here to buy lanes, not liabilities, she says. We can ship under FCA tomorrow. Our brokers are ready. Our customers get delivery without the trap. Value stays intact. The acquisition CEO watches Helena. He speaks carefully now. I want this company, he says. I don't want these risks. He faces the seller's CFO. Can you accept the writer? The seller's CFO hesitates. He calls his general counsel. A minute becomes a ridge of time. Everyone feels the weight. He lowers the phone. He chooses a tone that sounds brave. We can accept FCA, he says. Audit symmetry within reasonable scope. SP frozen at diligence version. Title after inspection. Escrow definition unchanged. Helena looks to outside counsel. He gives a single nod. Language is workable, he says. We can memorialize in one page. Signature can follow immediately. Leonard exhales through a smile. He salvages grace. Then we still have a deal, he says. Let's land it. Helena turns to Maya. Good catch, she says. You just paid for yourself twice. Maya closes her notebook. She lets the room breathe again. Some people look away. Others do not. Helena uncaps the pen once more. She draws a check mark beside the writer list. She looks at both sides. Then she gives the line that decides everything. Writer or no deal. The writer lands in 10 minutes. Both counsel initial the margins. Helena signs the amended page. The wire releases without a hitch. Treasury watches the balance hold. The clock reads 11:27. A headline goes out clean. Leonard packs his papers quietly. His smile returns smaller. He nods at Maya. He chooses not to speak. The seller's CFO shakes hands. He avoids eye contact with Helena. His agreement reads like a seatbelt now. He knows it. So does everyone else. People rise. Chairs scrape. The room exhales as one. Maya closes her notebook. She moves toward the door. Helena calls her back. Walk with me, Helena says. They step into the hallway glow. No audience. No banner. Just two people and a solved problem. You saw the hinge, Helena says. Before anyone wanted to look. Those 3 words could have broken us. Buyer-funded penalties, Maya says. Helena nods once. You asked me to read it out loud, Helena adds. That fixed the room. It also fixed the deal. She does not offer a smile. She offers something better. Take the rotation you wanted, Helena says. Trade compliance and ops liaison. Direct line to me. Your seat is at the table now. Maya nods. She is still quiet, but not small. Word travels fast. The junior analyst sends a thank you. Procurement forwards the revised SP. Treasury tags the new controls. Outside counsel revises the checklist template. A footnote just changed a culture. 3 lessons, then we're done. First, read the line. Never the summary, never the slide. Clause numbers are maps. They show who pays. They decide who hurts. Second, freeze what you reference. If a document imports, lock the date. Version drift is a silent tax. Footers can move millions. Third, symmetry or no deal. If records decide disputes, match the rights. Audit must cut both ways. Correction windows must be bounded. Truth needs equal tools. If this story hit you, stay. There are more rooms like this. More footers with teeth. More people dismissed before they speak. Subscribe for the next reversal. Comment your favorite line below. Share it with someone who signs things. Today, a quiet voice held $1 billion pen. Tomorrow, it might be yours.